So welcome to Plantar Fascia series. In this series we talk about how we reduce the pain coming from the plantar fascia. So we earlier talked that there are three components of plantar fascia that we may be able to influence. It's the ground, it's the shoes, and the foot, the way we walk. So let's focus on the ground. Plantar fascia is often getting more painful when we are walking on a very hard surface. So if the surface is very hard, like a stone, paved stone, that usually we see these days beside the street, it's usually the hardest stone that you can find. It's just a stone or cement, and walking on that is much painful. So it really put one part of the game really hard, and the other part of the game is the shoes and foot. So when the ground is very hard, then there's a lot of pressure coming from the ground. So as we are walking, our weight is going toward the down, and the pressure from the other side comes to our foot, and the foot during the plantar fascia is already in a sort of injury. So when we push, when the pressure comes, then the pressure goes to the injury. So the best way in terms of ground comes to the soft and negotiable, let's say negotiable ground. A negotiable ground is when the foot touch the ground. The ground doesn't resist much, so rather it loses itself. So when it comes to this kind of grounds, what we can imagine, if it's outdoor, we can imagine about sand if you are near the beach, and if you are near an area that is a bit soft, it's not sand but it's still soft, it could be grass, for example. Grass is another example. When it comes to the sand that is very fine grained and soft is usually the most comfortable sand for plantar fascia, and is also a ground for exercising the muscles of the foot and also the leg. So this has this ability that let the foot play around, so it doesn't just restrict the foot. So the foot weight finds its weight through the sand. So as the sand gets harder, it gets more difficult. It becomes more like a hard ground. But still, if you don't have much sand, you can find just even a few meters of sand during the day, and then let walk on that, because even that loses the muscles of the foot, and then by losing the muscles of the foot, gradually the foot starts to loosen up, and the plantar fascia also loses its density. Beside the sand, there is the grass. The grass is thicker, and the grass is more dense, is more softer, so it's easier to walk on that. So if you are living in a city and sometimes you don't find sand, find grass, and find the grass in a like just grass, so without any object like trash or sharp things that may injure you. So first maybe you see the path that you are going to walk, if there is anything that may be damaging the foot. Stones are not usually a problem because stones are small, natural, and usually the normal stone doesn't hurt much. And so just look for if there's any sharp, usually man-made trash that may. So first clean up that area, and then start walking in that area. There are some places, like some cities and countries, that usually there is a green in the park, usually very clean. Just find your spot and walk the path, and sometimes even you may find kilometers of grass. And beside the grass, you can also comfortably walk on the mud. If the surface is a bit muddy, it's also very nice, because then it's softness, and it's not also super soft, because after the touch, gradually the foot finds its place, and then the next step comes. So one step, another step, one step, another step. And during this process, a gentle touch of the ground comes, and the plantar fascia is not going to be much painful. So gradually, indeed, the foot start feeling comfortable, the body start feeling comfortable, the psychology become comfortable. And if it's indoor, not outdoor, you can be more creative. So you have more option to where you are spending most of your time. If it's an apartment, or if it's a house, or if it's your room, trying to make it a surface that is gentle for the foot. So at this time, if you're having plantar fascia, it's something that we need to make an action, and keeping the floor really hard, as many apartments these days offer, or stone if it's old school. It's a challenge, because it's a parameter that can affect and can get the pain even worse. So at this point of our life, we need to give a bit of softness, and the softness comes with a surface like carpet or any sort of thing that you may be creative with it. Even you may put some, I don't know, if you have a big house, you may put some greenery there, like grass. If you are, for example, more into more ancient material, maybe some soft plant-based carpet may be fine, or maybe a tatami made of cotton could be something instead of carpet. Or you may create your own, for example, photon-based or cotton-based surface. So you may create a surface based on your homemade blankets. The only thing is that sometimes it could be slippery, so you need to find a way not to have it slippery. So bringing components from nature could be one thing, or you have any idea to have a surface that gives the softness when we are walking indoor.